Hello, everyone. We're bringing you the news on MeteorJS. This week, sharing resources, current events, activities, and other information, both for you first hearing about MeteorJS as well as for veteran users, to keep you informed about the current state of the art. This week, we're covering migration anxieties and woes. If you're struggling to figure out how to move up to MeteorJS 3.0, this episode is for you. It tracks across our stories today, and later in the program, we have a guest from Meteor Software to help address those fears. Now, Meteor would be nothing if not for the amazing work done by members of the community. And this week, we'll be talking about the Weekend project, and you'll be hearing more and who you'll be hearing more from that team on this channel. And separately, we give a shout out to longtime member who is also a community ambassador, the founder of the Veliov Group. Then we'll give an update on the road to 3.0, our multi-part deep dive into the what, when, why, and how behind the next generation of the MeteorJS platform. All this and more on This Week in MeteorJS. So you're watching or listening to This Week in MeteorJS, a weekly news segment of the MeteorJS Dispatches podcast. Your hosts today are Jan Küster in Bremen, Germany, Jan Dvorak, also known as Storyteller, in Prague, Czechia, and me, Alim Gafar, in New York City. We're all MeteorJS Community Ambassadors. We're joined today by Gabriel Grubba from the Meteor Software OSS team, where he'll be with us shortly in the program. Okay? And now we typically hit the feedback. I think what we're going to do is we got a lot of feedback from Michael Scharf last week. And I think the one part that he was concerned about more than anything else was, this process of migrating. So I'm not going to go into the details of the comments. You can go back to last week's episode and take a read of them if you want to. He did have a separate comment on, where can I get this fine piece of swag, the sweatshirt I'm wearing? And, I mentioned to him that that was something that you could pick up in the past at the Meteor store online. However, the Meteor store is offline right now, and I suggested to him that he reach out to marketing at meteor.com to see whether or not they could accommodate him in some way. So those are, I would say, the sum and parcel of the feedback that we got. So because we have a really substantial episode this week, I'm not reading the feedbacks verbatim as I have in the past. I just want to be able to get to move on and get to the essence of what we're covering today. And so with that, I'd like to get on to the news. All three of us are going to be doing different segments of the news today. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to the one who usually starts it off, Storyteller.
Hello, everyone. So Meteor 3.0, it's been an ongoing topic in the past, and I think it's going to be a topic going into the future. And from last week, Daniel Dornhardt, we had as a guest, asked a great issue about updating migration guide to be more digestible, which of course was taken up by multiple people to work on. And it has been, a question of how do I migrate, from 2.0 to 3.0. I prepare myself. You could have watched through each updates, for example, the Fibers public roadmap and other things, but there wasn't really a definitive guide how to do it. Well, no more. 4 days ago, Gabriel Grubba has announced that we now have a guide, and it's available in the Meteor guide. And in there, what you will see is all the different changes that are happening, specifically at which version, for example, they came to be, so that you can migrate, one version at a time, one API change at a time. This, kind of migration from version 2.8 till the latest 2.13 will help you to move once 3.0 comes around. But even then, it's not, be all end all. There's still a lot of other things that will happen when 3.0 comes around that just cannot be, for technical reasons and other, could say, backported or prepared. So watch this space for additional things. And it also covers all the other, things like Blaze and other things that you might encounter, all that stuff, like the different tools that you can use here. And this guide is going to obviously expand as we move towards 3.0, as we get more insight into what are the pain points, what's happening. One big thing to, or kind of warning ahead, is this only covers Meteor Core. It does not cover community packages and like that. That's up to the individual packages to cover. And if you want to see how people are, for example, handling it, the migration, all that stuff, we have here from Lori Oyansivu, apologies for butchering the name, a thread, and eventually also down here how he has done his migration, so that you can also see what are some of his pain issues and how he is progressing.
Okay. Are we moving on to Mr. Küster now?
Yes, unless you want to add something to this. Anyone?
No. Jan, do you have anything that you want to add to it or question about?
Currently not. I think this is a topic that evolves step by step every week. And so still, we have development on the current Meteor 2.x, and I'm about reporting something on the Meteor create command. This is something every one of us is using, and Meteor as a platform has always been about great developer experience. And I think creating a project was always on spot, but now we are at the point where so many options are there that it was time to ask for a more interactive create command, so you could mix up much more things. Like, this from other tools. If you have used other tools, it's this classic scaffolding dialog. Do you want to use this technology or this select? And then it builds everything you want together. And this is especially useful, for example, if you use TypeScript, which is rather a meta indicator. You still have to choose a front-end technology, and so you easily end up mixing up things. And this new feature will definitely be an advantage and make things much smoother. It will be in Meteor 2.14 if things go well. Looks like it should be from my point of view. And so we might get this at the end of the month, because this is the Hacktoberfest release.
That is correct. So if everything goes well, I'll be happy to work with Gabriel to merge this into 2.14 and get it out there. If not, then either 2.15 or 3.0.
So let me ask you one question about this, Küster, which is, there was a question about like how we were going to actually do this. Are we going to allow to have like 2 different flags for the different features, and then somehow it gets combined, or are we using a single flag to combine features as part of the implementation? So in the case of this, I think the example might have been like, -- view and -- TypeScript, right? For flags to say, I want to build a boilerplate or a project. I'm going to have a project that's going to use a Vue front end, but will also use TypeScript. And somebody wanted to do something like that and found that they couldn't. And so the question was, does the implementation use that kind of syntax on the command line, or does it use something like -view -view -TypeScript, right? Just one flag name that combines both features.
From what I've looked into the code, it's a mix-up of these single ones, but please correct me, Jan, if this is different. I mean, this is an implementation of picking the right skeleton in the background, right?
Yes. So, Alan, what you're referring to, there is another issue that came up to add, as you had, the flag, for the Vue React, to also use the TypeScript version.
Okay.
And that was one of the issues to kind of use as we have it now, as you can see here. This one for more interactive. I'm guessing the flags will probably remain for those who know how to do them. But as it's kind of here, similar to how Meteor Generate operates today, it will, you will do Meteor Create, and then it will ask you, if you don't provide any more information, it will ask you, okay, what is the name of the project? You add the name, then click enter, which front end you want to use, and then it will allow you, select, or I just want, React TypeScript or Vue TypeScript or just Vue and pure JavaScript. And it will kind of walk you through all these different options until then it finally knows which is the proper skeleton for you to pick. So, and that will then create it. At least that is the idea. We'll see how the implementation goes.
I guess we will have to see how that goes. All right, terrific. And I guess I don't have any other questions on that. Küster, do you want to pop in on this? You want to get a piece of this, or can we move on to the next bit of exciting news that we've got listed here?
We can move on. Yes, we
can move on. All right. So I wanted to mention that there's a particular user that goes under the handle xet7, or I'm not quite sure how you actually pronounce it, XET7, who is on the he's on the weekend team, and he's been posting a lot of really good content lately. He's posted information on the Road to 3.0 forum thread that we posted with regard to what the weekend team and what he has been doing. But on top of the migration that he shared for weekend to 3.0, the work that he's doing there and what he's discovering as he's going through it, he's also written some pretty nice material with regard to Meteor security, performance profiling, on swapping runtimes with Bun and Dino and others. I was surprised at just how much he had done, and I reached out to him. For those who don't know, Weekend is an open source project built on Meteor. They describe it as an open source task management and collaboration software that uses Kanban board approach for simple and fast workflow. So I took that entirely off them and shared that there with you. I mean, for those in the know, also, it's like a Trello-like application, kind of like Asana. So if you're familiar with any of those, then you'll understand what Weekend does, and it may do some things. I've never really played with it deeply, so there might be other aspects of it that hopefully the user will be able to share when we get together and talk some more about this. Now, there was quite a bit of information that he shared about Meteor security and Minimongo, and there was this article on the forums, info about Meteor security and Minimongo now available. And it originates from a threaded Slack discussion with Slack user Antonio Rossetti. And excuse me, the format of the thread was terrific. Now, when he copied it over to the forums, he did some cleanup on it. But one of the things I really liked about the thread on the Slack, which I hope that he replicates in the forum discussion itself, is that he had these sort of bullet point directives, right, about what you should and shouldn't do with your Meteor application vis-a-vis the security. And it was almost like you could take it and turn it into an audit checklist, which could be great for users that are not as sophisticated. And I don't mean that in a bad way. It's just, you don't have a lot of deep insight into Meteor security that could use that to, audit your own applications and platforms. So I thought it was really outstanding. I hope that he updates the forum post to include them. And because we've started a conversation, I believe that you will be hearing more from user XET7, and we hope that we'll be able to bring him here to talk more about the work that he's done in Weekend, software development practices, how he goes about testing new features, and evaluating upgrades before going live. So a lot of great stuff there, and I hope that that when we bring him in, you guys like it. All right. You guys have any questions on this, or you want to,
No, I'm super excited about all that stuff. Weekend is one of the most prominent open source projects together with Rocket Chat. So personally, I still haven't had time to really take it out for a ride, and I'm hoping I will have the opportunity very soon.
I really think that we should, bring these guys in that have built these long-standing, big, complex applications that have a lot of moving parts into conversations with us, and because they have, I would say, a depth of experience that many, many other application developers just don't have with the types of applications that they put out. So, I'm looking forward to not only doing the news with him, but doing some other projects. Yes. And I think we're all starting to find things that we're finding interesting that we might want to do side projects with as part of Meteor Dispatches. And I think that's very exciting because, what excites me is a little different than what excites Storyteller, which is a little different than what excites Küster. So it's great to be able to get those passions on those parts of software development that that you really feel deeply about and be able to share it with the community. So really great stuff. And I think we are deep into Hacktoberfest now, and I'm kind of curious to hear what's been going on with regard to the Hacktoberfest projects that that you've posted so far. Are we seeing some action? Yes. What's going on?
So there is a lot of action happening. We have been merging a lot around Meteor 2.14, which is shaping up. I think we're like 1/3 done, and we are hoping that next week we can have a beta out, or at least alpha, something around that. When it comes to community packages, Meteor Roles 3.6 is out with async functions. Right now they are a bit hidden. They are not... I still have to generate the new documentation, and we need to add them to our TypeScript definitions. So if somebody wants to quickly earn some Hacktoberfest pull requests, this is a good chance to do it before I do it probably this weekend or early next week. And then another thing that we have coming up is that Meteor Desktop, we have released release candidate 2 for version 3.1.1, which fixes the ongoing issues that we have in Meteor Desktop. And I would highly encourage everybody to give it a try. Let us know. And because so far we had, through our limited testing that we had, everything seems to be okay. So if everything works fine, we'll have a full release this weekend. And I think that's it kind of for the big news.
Jan, maybe just one more note again, that this is an RC release and people have to actively set it in order to install it as package.
Yes, that's correct. You will have, since there is a NPM package as well as the Meteor packages, you need to actively set the correct version for that. Or with NPM, it's add preview after you do npm install.
That's a flag. You put a flag hyphen.
Yeah. So when you do a Meteor npm I and then community packages Meteor Desktop, then you do the add symbol and then you add preview, which will then, as we've covered last week, the tag, it will grab the version for that tag. So
all right,
that's that.
All right, very good. So that was the news this week. We're keeping it short because we have a guest here today, and that guest is Gabriel Grubba. And
hey, guys.
Gabe's hailing from Brazil. And At least I think he is.
Yeah, I'm in Brazil currently. I'm living in Curitiba. It's a city in the southmost part of Brazil.
Terrific. And the reason that we brought Gabriel in today is because, we've had a lot of conversations going on within the Meteor community over the last 2 weeks with regard to concerns about the migration to 3.0 and what it means. And, part of the issues I think people have had was the sense that there's some uncertainty, right? Still in the steps they need to take and how they're going to go about it and their role that we're asking them to play in the process of migration. And I think the thing we have to clear up is the notion of, taking a business path to migrate an application and participating in helping to make sure that we have clear documentation and processes in place to share for that later migration that people would take. So I'm going to pass this on to Gabriel because I think he can talk well about the what Meteor Software has been doing, what they've been recommending, and of course our separation of concerns, so to speak, with regard to responsibilities in this effort. All right, so Gabe.
Yeah, so to address this fear and this concern that many people have in the community about Meteor 3.0, I will start talking about why these changes are necessary, so that people can have a little bit more of context on what will change and why are these changes necessary specifically. And the reason why this whole Meteor 3 migration is necessary is because Node 16 and ports is not compatible with fibers. And you may ask, what is fibers? And this is a thing that is the backbone of Meteor. And at the time when Meteor was being built, it was built on top of it. That was the solution for dealing with async before async await pattern was introduced in Node.js itself. So yeah, when we reached to this point that it wasn't no more compatible, we decided that we, the core team and the community, decided we should rewrite what was necessary on Meteor, that we could live without this essential piece that was fibers. And now you may ask, what will change in this new feature, this new version, this new platform that we're creating, that's Meteor 3. And what will change is that before in 2.0, we did not have to wait for promise to finish because of fibers. You could call any async function, and it just use something like Meteor wrap async that magically turned that asynchronous function into a synchronous one. And without fibers, now we need to follow Node.js conventions and the community. Now we need to use async await and deal with promises ourselves. So with all this change, the methods in Meteor that are most affected are the Meteor call and MongoDB methods like insert, find one. Those methods are by default asynchronous, and because of fibers and the abstraction that we did on top of it, it wasn't. It was like to be synchronous all the time, and that led to what we have. What we have today. So what are our responsibilities as maintainers is to Meteor software core maintainers is to solve what is left in the core platform, the build to and core packages, and everything else that isn't in the core, that like platform, the build to and the core packages is the responsibility of the maintainers. Because yeah, it's like asking for people on Node to solve other things in NPM and NPM packages. So yeah. So we try to keep like the concerns focused so that we can focus on what matters in the core. And that also leads to the next point. It's about docs, because we are working now in this preparation to make sure that we have taken care of all the docs and materials that can be helpful to the developer that's making this migration to be feasible and easy. And we know that we at the time decided not to document it first and implement it first. Actually, we took that cable and tried to make it go faster, and it not worked as planned, and it still was it is still with our ongoing process. And now we are starting to document it again. So we learned our lesson, and now we will still use this pattern that we'll document it first, discuss with the community, and then implement it. And we plan to go forward with this. And my last topic in this small section that I'm talking is what you can do as a Meteor 2 user going to Meteor 3. And I guess this is more of an action point to you, listener, is that depending where you are in the migration, I suggest you to be as soon as possible in 2.8 version, so that you can migrate your apps using feature by feature. Like you change a feature and test it, and change another feature and test it, or doing tests in your staging environment, or doing A/B testing with your clients. So that's possible to make your changes using the migration guides from each version, and test with your end users and check if nothing is breaking. Because the whole idea of making a lot of releases in the 2.0 track before the 3.0 is to make this change to 3.0 as easy and seamlessly as possible. We also at the team, and as they talked in the news section, we have published a topic on preparing for Meteor 3 in the core guide. And you can find some interesting information that I gathered while doing this migration for our dear software, our dear app, that's Atmosphere.js. So it's essential to notice that this guide is still ongoing. We are still changing a few pieces, and we are really happy if the community can help with some of their own ideas, their own changes. And Daniel said that he was trying to write something up, so it would be really nice to hear from him and anyone else that wants to talk about it. So yeah, that was what I was most planned for talking. And yeah.
Yeah, I think the important part to really highlight here is that compared to, say, all the previous versions, updating this time around is not as easy as just Meteor update and expect everything to work, maybe to fix one little thing. This really affects the entire app, and that people should pretty much tell everybody, hey, you need to pay attention to this. And what's probably going to be, at least from my own experience, is eventually the third-party packages, because when you start or when you try to upgrade now, and if you have like any third-party packages that are not, let's say, ready for it or don't have the necessary, versions for the alpha, then they are going to scream, which is usually what happens every time there is any major update with third-party packages or that affects the third-party packages. And this Meteor 3.0 touches, I would say, pretty much almost every package. Correct me if I am wrong, Gabriel, but there is like major updates that are usually the major version update that are the biggest cause of the problems with this.
Yeah, exactly. Like if you upgrade, and we did a major upgrade in the Meteor package itself, like the Meteor base package. Every package on Meteor environment depends on top of it. So everybody needs to at least check the package, because that's why you need to check if your app is okay, your package is okay. So you're necessarily you need to check it and do a new version of it. And we are still discussing on things how to make this even easier. So yeah.
So I think there's some takeaways I want to just summarize here, because I think it's really important that we get this clear. One is that first of all, we're asking the community to, when we talk about migration right now, what we're asking you to do is basically take a copy of the application that you have running production and get it ready for 3.0, or try to make a migration to 3.0 in parallel to your live system, right? The frustration you're going to have is if you try to make these changes to your live environment and you run into problems, and that's not going to be helpful to anybody. What's happening right now is the team is looking for feedback on those edge cases that they have not considered when they were making their updates. And that feedback is going to inform the changes they need to do into the platform in order to support that eventual migration so that it's seamless to 3.0. Have I summarized that correctly there? And then there is a second part to this, which is, and now I'm having a senior moment where the thought just like left my mind. But the fact is that first part is super important. There is another piece to this which I know is as important, and it's going to come back to me in a minute, but I'm going to pass on to somebody else while I try to find my brain, which has fallen out of my head in the last couple of
years. I think, you have kind of two parts to this big puzzle. First, you have, upgrading the core, which today, you have the documentation to go straight forward. Second part is upgrading, community packages, which really depends on you as the community to come in and help us. Me and Jan are mostly, could say, the managers, and we kind of code and help with the packages where we can, but we just cannot, do everything. And there are other people who have, really helped a lot with various packages. I also know that the core team has prepared pull requests for packages in Meteor testing for them to be upgraded. So that's, kind of Meteor team helping outside of their core responsibility. So very much appreciated. Thank you. And
hang on.
one big thing.
We got a question coming in from Dan Dornhart. And he's asking, what's the best way for them to communicate this? And I think there are two places, right? One is in GitHub issues, and the second is on the forums. But I don't want to speak for your process, Gabriel. So let me just turn that over to you.
Yeah, I would say those are the two main places. I would say Slack as well, because it's sometimes, because it's the best collection. Because I guess I would go to forums, because then everyone can contribute to it as well in issues. And it's like sometimes every 3 months, I think it misses the information. So I would choose this show and try to create a unique source of truth, like he said, like in the comments, like, because information and discussions are a bit spread over. And if we try to place it in a GitHub discussion or in a forums post, if we choose one or another, it will be a nice place to have everything centralized.
Gabriel and I were speaking a little earlier about, and this is where I remember I said I dropped my brain before. I've found it again, and now I want to bring this in, which is the other piece, I think, to this that we're talking about is the separation of concerns in terms of what actually gets taken care of by different groups, right? And so Gabriel and I have been talking about this before, and we had mentioned that anything related to the build, the build tool, the platform, and the core packages, which are not all well known by everybody, is the responsibility of Meteor Software. The core packages, the community packages team has also its list of officially maintained packages, and then everything else is third party that's handled by the individual contributors out there. Now, I think one of the things that I believe, Gabe, you said that you're going to do is you are going to list out in that documentation, the migration documentation, the packages that Meteor Software is responsible for, and people can expect that if an issue comes up, you guys will take care of, correct? And I think, we didn't talk about this before, Jan Brothers, but, one of the other things I think we could do is we could throw the community packages into that document also, so that people can see, here's the core packages, here are the community maintained packages, and if your application has packages outside of that, they need to be able to reach out, or they need to just reach out to the individual developers that are responsible for those packages. So that way it becomes clearer when you hit your frustration point, where you can get help and where you're not going to be able to get help. And hopefully that helps reduce the frustration, because if they are talking to somebody about a package that person is not responsible for, it's doubly frustrating, right? Because that person's going to tell them, I don't know what you're talking about. And then they're going to be like, well, it's Meteor Software. Isn't that your problem? And then, so I think the more that we can help the community by showing them, where they can expect help. And then I think the other part we talked about is like SLAs on issues related to, 3.0 migration with regard to package bug fixes, I think needs to be figured out and then, of course, communicated. So those are just some of those extra bits of information I think we're going to have some discussions about. And you guys will probably have discussions with your constituents, right? Your stakeholders, and then hopefully, that'll help things be a little smoother than it would be otherwise. So
I want to really add here 2 points. I want to once again underline how important it is to communicate if you experience any problem with any of the community packages or any packages. Please do at least create issue so that we know about it, because I'm not using all of the packages in my projects. It's there's so many of them that I would say very close to impossible unless you have like a specific project that to showcase all of them. So I don't see all of the issues all the time. And if sometimes we have a lot of projects, so sometimes I missed it. So don't be afraid to reach out to me or Jan, like, hey, this is a problem, and I just want to let you know about it. And next point from that is a lot of the times you can just clone the package, put it into your packages repository in the application. And especially if it's just like the initial point to upgrade to 3.0 alpha, you can just adjust the API.packages from at the 3.0-alpha.15. And that will at least get you over the initial hurdle with compatibility. And if you do that, and if you then go and fix the package, please submit back, create a pull request, even if it's, fixes only one little thing, or, even if it's work in progress, because then at least, we see somebody has, tried to do it like that, or maybe somebody else can come in and continue from your initial pull request and fix the issue. Don't wait for us to solve all your problems. Or, if you want to, me and Jan have both GitHub sponsor pages, so you can, send us some dollars, and we'll be then more happy, and we'll be able primarily to, get more time to actually solve these issues.
Yeah, I think that goes back to SLAs, right? And what we're willing to do. So I think what Storyteller is pointing out here is that things have to get prioritized. And when you are working as an individual developer and doing volunteer work, others have to understand that when they ask for your time, you can either respond based on your commitments to other things, or you can prioritize it in some other way. And I think what Storyteller is suggesting here is that he has an escalation process I think he will share about how we will deal with things that need to be expedited from the point of view of the person that's asking for it. All right. I do want to just share here for a second some information that Gabe shared a little earlier with regard to that documentation. We shared it in the chat. I want to let everybody see it here, and then I think at this point we need to move on from this topic because we have spent a lot of time here. So Gabe, thank you so much for joining us today. Really appreciate it. And I'm sure you'll be in the forums and on Slack and elsewhere that people can get to you if they need to talk to you about this topic further. All right?
Yeah, yes, exactly. It was a pleasure talking to you all today. Sorry. And yeah, if you guys need me, you can always hit me on my DM on Slack. You can hit me on issues on GitHub and on forums. Anywhere you can call me on Twitter as well. This is my handle on Twitter as well. You can always send me there DMs there. And so yeah, it was nice talking to you all.
Yeah, Gabriel, just one quick question. In terms of like what people can expect for turnaround time, are you immediate on turnaround, or you need like a couple of days, or like what do you think is a reasonable turnaround based on your workload?
Turnaround, sorry.
Turnaround means like when somebody hits you up with a question, how quickly can you get that?
Yeah, it depends. Like if it's like on a weekend, it might take a day, or like the next work day I will be like.
What's the worst case? What's the worst case?
The worst case is you send me like DM on Brasilia time, like at 7 p.m. on Brasilia time on a Friday. I will probably answer you on the Sunday at afternoon, if like that's the worst case.
So about 2 days.
Yeah, about 2 days. But if you send me like on Monday or Tuesday or any weekday, normal work day, I will reply you like under 1 day probably, like depending on the question. Exactly.
All right. So let's just set expectations properly, because the thing is like, in the worst case, somebody will hear from you within about 2 days.
Yeah, exactly.
That could be their expectation. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and we'll see you another time.
Yeah. Bye-bye. Thank you guys.
Okay. And
There we
All
go.
right. All righty. Thank you for taking care of that. Storyteller. And so now we're moving on to our shoutouts. We did one last week. I think it was a good thing. And now we are recognizing somebody else, a big contributor to this community. And I think, Küster, you're going to talk about this fellow. He's somebody that we
Yes.
know among us.
Yeah, this is about Dr. Dimitri or Dimitri Golev, and he's a long-term Meteor Community member, also Meteor Ambassador, and he owns the Value of Group company, which is providing lots of great packages. You should definitely check them out on the GitHub page. So there are really lots of packages they have going on. One of the most famous packages is the Meteor Files package. And I want to give a little bit more light on the Meteor Files package because file upload and download and management is not very trivial in Meteor if you want to implement it yourself. So I highly suggest to check out these packages if you're doing something that revolves around files. The great thing here is that once you have the files uploaded, you can manage them in a collection-like manner as you do your other documents in MongoDB. And this gives you much more versatile access to your files. It also has lots of options depending on the transport you want to choose, like DDP or HTTP. You have many storage options there. One of the storage options I'm, for example, using is GridFS, which is the MongoDB built-in file system. So you don't have your files placed on the file system, but actually be put into the database. But you also have the option to use file system as your storage, of course, if you want to or need to. You can also use AWS or other storages. And the great thing here is the whole API is very well documented. It has a huge documentation, so there should be everything covered you need to know. This is really one of the biggest advantages of a good package. It's good documented and there are no questions left. And if you still have a question left or an issue, you can open an issue and it can be guaranteed that Dr. Dimitri is going to answer. So he's still maintaining this package actively. And this is just one of the great things when the community is active on such packages that you as a developer, you get so much out of it. And I also want to highlight just a few more things of this package, what you can do. So it helps you to upload files in various ways, but it also helps you to manage access to the files. Different ways of downloading the files. Interception is possible, so you can also write a file stream to download, or you can stream the files, which is what we are actually doing in our projects using this package. So we have some videos uploaded, and we just don't want to download the whole video. We just want to stream it. It's the HTTP 216 response. In case you want to know what that 206 and 206 response. And it also helps to post-process files, which is also very important. You have a file uploaded, then you can run certain post-processing, like you have uploaded the video and you want to have different formats, then this package helps you to easily implement some uploading post-processing mechanism. So I highly suggest to check out that GitHub page and also the linked demos, which are also very insightful. In the future, there might be some deep dive into this package, and maybe we'll also get Dr. Dimitri joining us in the future for other deep dives, discussions, and whatever is coming up. Yeah.
Okay. So
I'm speaking again and not having my microphone on. So always amusing to watch my face with my mouth moving and I keep forgetting to put the microphone on. So that's not, you could tell what a professional I am. I'm really good at this. So one of the things I also want to mention about Dimitri is that he has a lot of other packages in the Austrio, and I don't know if you mentioned that before and I missed it, but in the Austrio namespace. And he's a very prolific contributor, and I think people should use his packages and try them out. And he does really, really nice work, I think, by your demonstration, for instance, of the Meteor Files, right? It's, he's really, really good. So, great member of the community. Thank you for
we're also using... Sorry, I didn't want to interrupt you.
No, we were doing it.
We're also using lots of the other packages as well. For example, the flow router, which is an enhanced version of the Kadira flow router with up-to-date dependencies and, in my opinion, much better developer experience, and also the i18n packages. So there's really good stuff going on in this namespace, definitely.
Absolutely. All right. Well, we are towards the end of things, but we still have a little bit of an update needed on what's going on with this side project we have called The Road to 3.0. So that's one of our upcoming deep dives, and I'm going to pass this on to Storyteller because I believe he's got some information for us.
So we have finally went around and started kind of the next stage of a planning because we have scheduled this for November 14 at 2 p.m. Central European Standard Time. That is where we are starting our Meteor 3.0 deep dive. The first episode, as mentioned, will be primarily concerned about Meteor Core and will be kind of big overview of all the different topics, and we might select maybe one or two in which we'll go more in depth in a specific episode, but we plan then to go into all the independent topics later on based on demand, and also maybe get some more guests in that as well. Related to that is another topic, or not necessarily deep dive, more of a panel discussion we are planning, which will be all about Blaze. And we have already pretty much got the guest, and now we just need to finalize the date and some other things that might be before our Meteor 3.0 deep dive, but we should have more details on that next week.
That's terrific. And so there is, I believe, a playlist titled The Road to 3.0 on the community website, where you guys are right now on YouTube. And on that YouTube channel, there is a playlist called The Road to 3.0. The deep dive for Meteor 3.0 is scheduled there. And so you can go and you can click on that and get a notification when the episode starts. So that way you don't miss the live stream. So, and I'll make sure that actually shows up on the front page of the channel. All right. And I think at this point, we're at the end of most of this. I'd like to remind people that we have an internal goal to reach 100 subscribers. I believe we're at 76, maybe 77 if we've gotten one recently. So we're slowly getting there. We had some fast growth before, and now we're sort of like tapering off. I really encourage you, if you are not yet a subscriber to the channel, to please do so to help us get to that goal of 100 subscribers. It'll allow us to make a change in terms of the URL, that we can customize it to what we want. And as always, like, share, and subscribe to the channel. And I just want to say that coming up next week, we have some news with regard to Daniel Dornhart's migration survey. Daniel's put a migration survey together, and it's on the forums. It's linked there, and he's asking for people to share their experiences and what they're doing and where they are if they are doing a migration. So please, if you can, fill that out. That would be very helpful, and we will pick that back up next week in terms of the news. We're going to have some more Hacktoberfest updates and Meteor Community Package updates. Hacktoberfest and Meteor Community Package updates. So, look for that also. We'll be talking about some of Qualia's awesome packages. Qualia, that's a name from a few years back. They used to run Meteor Night out in San Francisco. And, of course, we'll have some more weekend news and some other stuff that hasn't hit the transom yet. So, with that, I will bid you all a very good weekend, and thanks for joining us again. All right.